Hi, folks. Robert Quigley for President here, the Daily Wrap. Today we're going to talk about three quick issues just to highlight some of the absurdities of our time. The first issue we're going to cover today, the border wall. Folks, the Arizona state governor decided to build a border wall with abandoned shipping containers that are in fact stacked up all across the United States. As we all know, America is not exporting much these days, yet we bring in billions, if not gazillions of dollars of stuff from the rest of the world every single week and month. And we, of course, now have shipping containers everywhere. Shipping containers are used for houses, offices, sheds. We even have a couple of shipping container houses in my neighborhood here in Washington, D.C. People have turned these shipping containers into apartment buildings. The imagination is fantastic. But let's go back to Arizona. Folks, obviously the border states want to close the border. And the Arizona state governor has built 300 plus miles of a border wall with the shipping containers. Should have been done a long time ago, folks. The Democrats have complained that the wall is being built on tribal land and national forest. You know, the Democrats, folks, are notorious for manipulating the legal system. There's a couple of issues here. First is the priority of laws. First and foremost, every country must protect its borders. Obviously, that is the top of the pyramid. That's the most important law. Without it, we don't have a country. So you see, folks, the Democrats are doing nothing but trying to enrich their own ranks with voters. My, oh my, cannot wait till we get to the White House. Why? Because the Quigley administration is going to take that container wall idea and complete the job all the way across the southern border. Absolutely fantastic. Kudos to the Republican governor in Arizona. Folks, let's move on. World War III has started. Folks, we want to pick up on what Nouriel Roubini from New York University said this week. In his survey of the global environment, current events, he has come to the conclusion that World War III has started. It started with the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Of course, only time is going to tell if, in fact, this somewhat warm / cold war escalates into a full-fledged World War III. But let's quickly review the facts just to see what we're talking about. We know the world is consuming resources at a rate which is unsustainable and will result in our ultimate extinction. We have resource wars. Everything from water, wheat, corn, barley, oil, metals, fresh water, you name it. We have overpopulation. Clearly, we are over 8 billion people now. By the time we get to 2030, we will probably have 9 billion people on the planet. The planet can support about 2 billion people comfortably and maintain a diverse biological and of course, plant environment. We've got too many people, folks. Some of us have to rearrange the way we live, if not all of us. We have food shortages. If we peruse the newspapers today, yesterday, all around the world, we see people complaining about food prices. Many places, the food has become too expensive. Folks are in the street complaining about the cost of food. we do have food shortages. It's hard to believe in the United States because the supermarket shelves are full and we only have 3% of the population involved in farming. But on a global basis, humanity is in trouble. We have food shortages, and it won't be long before it does come to a grocery store near you. Folks, the cities are not the place to be in a time of war or a time of catastrophe. In the last 175 years, we have built up cities all across America and all across the planet. In America, we have 80% of the population living in the top 30 metropolitan areas. Folks, in catastrophe, cities are death traps. Just remember your scenes or images from Katrina down in New Orleans in their convention center. This is not where you want to be, but in catastrophe, this is what all big cities will look at. How do we address these problems, folks? Well, the number one thing that we can do, and really the only one of two things that we can do, number one, we have to increase the size of our sustainable population. What does this mean? We need to create more business owners, more self-sufficient people. We do not need more employees. We need more people with talent and skills, knowledge and abilities to take care of themselves. This means things like making their own shoes and belts and clothes, growing their own food, fixing their houses, and taking care of their own transportation needs. We need more self-sufficiency in order to deal with World War III and the huge changes that are coming our way. Now, folks, let's have a little bit of fun here, and let's look at the ancient writings of Nostradamus. Now, I know you guys are chuckling as soon as you hear that word. I chuckled over the weekend too, thinking about this, but it is appropriate, at least on a fun level. So let's not get too serious, but let's have a little bit of fun. According to some of his quatrains, and as we all know, anybody who reads Nostradamus can read anything into his writing that you want to read into it. But nevertheless, he predicted that World War III will start in the time period that we're living in right now, and it will last 27 years. And it starts out as a Cold War. It moves to a warm war, and then it ignites and explodes. Ultimately, starvation, resources, and the desire to live causes the world to go to war with itself. Folks, we can support about 2 billion people on the planet. We have more than 8 billion people. We're going to more than 9 billion people by 2030. It's not sustainable. So let's go back to where we started. Nouriel Roubini wrote an article over the weekend answering the one question: where does he think the hot part of World War III will ignite? Putting aside that it's most likely already started with Russia and the Ukraine. Well, his answer, of course, is the Chinese belligerence against Taiwan. The Chinese are suffering massive starvation issues, massive resource shortages. They want nothing more than America out of the Western Pacific so they can dominate that region. The Chinese would love to take over North Korea, South Korea, the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, Malaysia. They have such a massive appetite for survival. They will do anything they can to acquire resources. That includes war. So, Roubini thinks the hot war of World War III starts in Taipei. As you all know, I lived in East Asia on and off for 10 years, and I know an awful lot about this Chinese-speaking world as well as its communities, and I can tell you that the mainland Chinese Communist Party and government think every day, every minute, of every hour of every day how they are going to dominate the world. They realize we are entering a phase that's a fight for resources. That's a fight for survival. And they will do everything they can to win that war. It's going to be nasty, folks. We can do things to avoid this situation, but we must not try to do it with the existing leaders. They have failed us. The Democrats, the Republicans, they're all trying to keep jobs. We don't hear them debating proposals. We don't hear them making plans to take humanity into a better position. What we hear is constant bickering and infighting because their number one goal, whether they say it or not, is to keep their paychecks and their jobs. We must change, folks. And we must change very quickly. Folks, let's move on. This is December 12th of 2022. At this moment in time, we officially have, at a minimum, of 24 potential Republican presidential candidates for the year 2024. Oh my God, this is disgustingly sickening. Why? Because as we can see in this election cycle and for the last 100 years, the parties have been running popularity contests. There's zero debate about the direction of the country we should be going in. There's zero debate about the programs and the reforms that must be made. There's zero debate about how we're going to help our fellow citizens. No, we have potential candidate after potential candidate putting themselves in front of national TV saying, I think I'm going to run for president. I think I'm going to run for president. It's a parade of circus clowns, folks. And what is really going on is we have the team or group of people called the Republican Party, which is running a popularity contest to see if they can find somebody to beat the other candidates. Because it's all about who keeps the jobs in Washington, D.C., or who gets new jobs in Washington, D.C. Forget about the country's problems, folks. That's not what they're doing. Democrats, they do the same thing when they're not in power, except we don't see such a parade of Democrats today because the Democrats have Biden in the White House. Folks, we are in trouble. The status quo is most definitely going to bring America to its end. Okay, folks, let's move on. I want to cover just a couple of topics as we end today's radio show. Don't forget, we have 20 million raffle tickets on the Robert Quigley for President website. We need to sell those raffle tickets. That's how we are funding our presidential campaign. We are giving away Teslas, mortgages, motor homes. We're giving away computer systems, all types of gift cards from Cracker Barrel, from Visa, from Papa John's Pizza, just to name a few, from Starbucks. We are giving away alternative energy systems for your house. Folks, throw me $5 each. Running a campaign is not a cheap exercise, and we need to sell those raffle tickets. If you don't like the whole world of raffles, well, that's okay. We also have a campaign hat. It's a very nice green color. It has our campaign slogan on the front. You'll see a picture of it at the Robert Quigley for President campaign website. Buy a hat. All team members, all independents across America should be wearing this hat, and to show our solidarity in the world that we are on the same team. Now, if you don't like raffle tickets and you don't like caps, we also have many live performances. We have two in New York City coming up in January. One is at Comedy Harlem, and the other one is at the West Side Comedy Club. You can find information about these on our website. And we are going to be putting up lots of live performance shows all across America for 2023 and 2024. So basically, you can buy the show tickets and come and watch our entertaining and educational performance, learn something, and have a bit of fun all at the same time. And finally, if those three categories don't tickle your fancy, then the good old-fashioned political donations are always accepted. Folks, we have to change the direction of America. Nothing is free, including saving ourselves from our own extinction. Help us help you and make America great for everybody. Folks, until we meet again, all the best.